You remember Detective Serino?
Yes, sir.
He had written a report and suggested that you be charged with manslaughter. I read a lot of what he said, and he said, no one could refute that Trayvon attacked you without provocation. When you hear that, and then yet he thought manslaughter, and eventually you're charged with second degree, why do you think he would make that conclusion?
I can't assume what was going through his mind.
And he tried to make the case, he said, neither one of you, neither you nor Trayvon, were trained in hand-to-hand combat. And he kind of dismissed the idea that anyone had a, quote, exceptional, disadvantage in this case. Do you think that was just a judgment on his part as one detective coming in after the fact?
Again, I hate to assume. I just...
Mm-hmm. The police seem to be pressuring you throughout a lot of this, and when they were interrogating you, they talked about Trayvon was a child that was just carrying candy. Do you remember those interrogations?
Yes, sir.
What were you thinking at the time?
It hit me really hard. The young man that I mentor is very close in age to Trayvon, and I thought of him in Trayvon's shoes, and it broke my heart.
Well, talk about that, because a lot of people, Al Sharpton was one of them that suggested, and we saw the edited tape on NBC News, and the suggestion was that they actually took out the part where the dispatcher asked you what was the race of the person that you were describing. And even the family had gone to Congress, Trayvon Martin's family, they went to Congress and they wanted to talk about the issue of racial profiling in this case. The suggestion being that that played a part in this shooting. You have a background, and the FBI, as a matter of fact, last week looked into the issue of race, and they didn't find anything that suggested you were racist in any way. What do you want people to know about you? You were a mentor. You mentioned he was about the same age as a kid you mentored. I had read that you mentored minority children.
Yes, my wife and I, we were fortunate that the program that we mentored in pairs a boy with a boy and a female with a female. And it just so happened that they were brother and sister, and we love them. And that's probably one of the hardest things, is I haven't been able to see them.
How long did you mentor them for?
About a year, maybe. Not long enough. And that's my concern, is that they told us when we started mentoring that we signed a contract. Obviously, we don't get paid, and there's no fiduciary repercussion. It was just giving our word that we would mentor for at least a year, because children that participate in this program, if you don't give them at least a year, they tend to act out more than if you had never mentored them at all. And
these are minority children, African-American children?
Yes, sir.
And this is something you did for how many years?
That was about a year, maybe a little bit more. But
here we are in the middle of a presidential race, and the President of the United States, Barack Obama, in the middle of this case, weighs in and said it's absolutely imperative that every aspect of this killing be investigated of an unarmed black teenager. What did you think when he weighed in?
I didn't see it.
You've heard about it.
A lot of people told me about it. Frankly, they knew that I was a supporter of his when he was a senator.
You supported him for president?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it was appropriate for the president to weigh in on this?
You know, I had a different perspective. A lot of friends and family members said, he said that if he had a son, Trayvon would look like him. And I interpreted it as he sees himself in the youth of America.
So you saw it as a positive?
Yes, sir.
My colleague, Geraldo Rivera at the Fox News Channel, actually took a lot of heat. He suggested the fact that kids wore hoodies leads to suspicion. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I wear hoodies.
No, okay. You used the term in one of your interviews from jail. You said, you're hiding in a hoodie, and some people took issue with the fact that maybe you were making light of or joking about the tragedy that happened?
Again, that's the reason we're starting up therealgeorgezimmerman.com. We're going to talk about the good, which is the support I've received from people, and not necessarily the financial support. I mean, I've received over 26,000 emails in the first 24 hours of support. But to debunk some of those stories, I mean, the Orlando Sentinel said that I was making a joke about it, yet they're the ones that printed the picture of me going to jail with the black sweater around me.
Did you mention that actually in one of the phone calls? You called this controversial pastor because he was about to hold a rally, the one that was involved in the Quran burning, and you asked him not to hold, I guess, this rally that he was going to hold for you, because you felt, and you mentioned the community.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that's maybe why you were a watchman and why you were involved and why you were a mentor, I'm just assuming. And you asked him not to do it, and apparently he was rather perplexed.
Yes, sir.
And you even said, so when you look at what has happened to the community and the country got so involved in this case, you know, not every case becomes this high profile.
Yes, sir. I remember hearing that he had planned on coming, and I remember being in my cell and thinking, you know, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And then later that evening, I realized that I can do something. He's coming using my name, in effect, saying that he was coming for me, and if he was going to take anybody's phone call, I was hoping that he would take mine. And frankly, he said he was coming to pray, and I feel that God could have heard him pray from Gainesville just as easily as he could from Sanford. I think that any extreme was a detriment to the community, and I felt guilty enough as it is about the hardship that Sanford and Seminole County, Florida has come under. That's why I asked him not to come.
George, thank you for telling your story.
Thank you,
Appreciate it
Sean.
very much. Mark, thank you very much. Appreciate it.